Everyone is working hard to put the finishing touches in the rights union before it opens in a few days. The technique seen here is used to sustain the bee population in order to produce food. If the Florida Senate passes this legislation, in courtrooms like this one, 10 jurors would have to come to an agreement to impose the death penalty. Alachua County commissioners are making it a priority to get started on Tower Road resurfacing. A meeting is scheduled in May to amend the comprehensive plan to allow the road project. The work may take some time, but commissioners are hoping for a speedy process.
So I would say at least a year, but if we can get it amended and move forward, I would hope that it'd be less, maybe 6 months.
The cars behind me here are driving on Tower Road, which is in bad condition. Tower Road and County Road 326 are the latest priorities for the County Commission, which is ready to target $3.5 million toward the projects. But resurfacing Tower Road isn't the only concern for one Gainesville resident.
I think the road could use some widening because it gets awfully congested, especially in the mornings when the school zones are up.
That's not in the works right now, but a May 10th meeting could bring the green light for repaving. Voleer Thomas, WUFT News. The CDC says Zika is becoming a crisis for Puerto Rico, and the top job will be to care for pregnant women. Zika is linked to a birth defect which limits brain growth, so infants have unusually small heads. One UF student with family in Puerto Rico says education to prevent mosquito bites is the key.
I think it's scary for the people who aren't informed about it. And I think information really needs to be spread about Zika to make sure that everybody understands it so that they're not scared of it.
Of Florida's 73 cases, 4 have involved pregnant women. Women are advised to beware when they travel this summer to the Caribbean because of the Zika virus outbreak.
The recommendations, for example, in Puerto Rico right now is that if you're really planning a pregnancy, that you may want to think about delaying your plans until the outbreak, until the viral exposure has run its course.
Except for the tragic cases of birth defects, experts say Zika infections are relatively mild. A fever and rash are common, but 2 people fully recover within 2 weeks.
I think the thing that has surprised everybody is the possible link to microcephaly and Guillain-Barré syndromes.
Public health officials are preparing for thousands of cases in Puerto Rico in the coming months. And Florida is watching for signs of local transmissions by mosquitoes. Voleer Thomas, WUFT News. For the next person sentenced to die by lethal injection in Florida, the jury will have to unanimously find an aggravating factor and then vote at least 10-2 to recommend the death penalty. That's a compromise position between the House and the Senate, which had originally wanted a 12-0 vote.
The Supreme Court of the United States has never required a unanimous recommendation for death, and Florida's prosecutors believe that a supermajority, such as 10, is an appropriate number so that no 1 or 2 individuals can control the entire process.
Prosecutors say it may take a serial killer like Danny Rowling for a jury to vote 12-0 for the death penalty. In nearly 300 death sentences since 2000, only 20% of the time was the jury unanimous. Defenders suggest that since a unanimous vote is required for guilt, it should apply for punishment.
Juries are required to reach unanimous decisions in every other part of the law to convict somebody of DUI, petty theft, writing a worthless check. It just seems to make sense that a unanimous jury ought to be required to recommend that somebody gets the ultimate penalty.
If the Florida Senate passes this legislation, in courtrooms like this one, 10 jurors would have to come to an agreement to impose the death penalty. Florida is one of 3 states that do not require unanimous death penalty recommendations, but it's the only one where the vote could have been a simple majority.
And I don't really care how they do it in the rest of the world. I don't really care about the academic argument. I don't really care about the statistics. I care about getting it right.
Voleer Thomas, WUFT News.